Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Bible Talk from the Green Room. We are in Journey of a Lifetime this week. We are looking at First Kings. I hope everybody's had a good week. Hope everybody's enjoying all these pollen showers we're having. Got a big day planned today, going to Greensboro to celebrate my mother's 80th birthday, as well as celebrating a lot of other family members' birthdays in March. But let's dive into the study here and see what we can learn today. In the book, we began to study the life of Solomon, David's son, and he was the successor to the throne of Israel there. The kingdom of David and Solomon is a political phenomenon without parallel in history in the Middle East there. Although the kingdom did not encompass as much land as the great empires of Egypt, Assyria, and Babylon, it was the greatest days. It talks about David and Solomon being the strongest rulers of their era there. David extended the borders of the kingdom, but Solomon is the one who really helped develop the economic prosperity of that, and we'll touch on it in a minute when he created the Navy there and expanded trade routes throughout the world there. That was a golden age for fine arts in Israel as well. Several of the books of the Old Testament were written during this time. Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Songs of Solomon were all written in. It says the worship of Jehovah was at an all-time high during this period, never to be attained again. And I wonder why it's not at an all-time high with us now. How have we let the worship of our Almighty God get so far removed from our daily lives? However, in the midst of prosperity and peace during Solomon's rule, the seeds of collapse were sown. He married a pagan woman who turned his heart away from the Lord. And that's one thing that we see in life. You think, well, I'm going to date this person, I'm going to marry this person, and they'll end up becoming a Christian just like me because they hang out with me. I'm not going to say that's impossible, but that's very, very hard to do. And that's kind of what this is an example of here. When we look at the book, it's divided into two sections. It's got the reign of Solomon, chapters 1 through 11, and then the divided kingdom in chapters 12 to 22. As the book opens, we find King David. He's an old bedridden man, and his son Adonijah decided he should be king and give a party to celebrate. Hearing this, Bathsheba comes to David and reminds him of his promise to her son Solomon to be the king. Nathan the prophet that we heard about last week, he confirms this, and David decides Solomon should be crowned at once. And Solomon returns to Jerusalem as the king there. When Adonijah sees opposition is useless, he just acknowledges Solomon as the king and they move forward there. After David's final words to his son Solomon, he dies, and that ended his 40-year reign. The thrust of David's charge to Solomon was to walk in the ways of the Lord and to keep the laws of Moses, telling him to stay focused on what God wanted him to do and to follow the Ten Commandments there and the laws that had been established. And God appeared to Solomon in a dream early on, and there's one thing that he desires to have. And God told him he could have one thing. And Solomon asked for wisdom and understanding so he could rule the people in this great nation that he had there. He became the wisest man that the world would ever see until Jesus came to earth here. One of Solomon's first wise moves was he put together a cabinet of officers for each state, and he had an own department for each of them that they were responsible for. And that led to great prosperity in the kingdom there. And does that remind us of anything when we look at the political layout now? The way their things are in different departments and they're responsible and they report up to one ruler there. However, the greatest accomplishment of Solomon was building the temple. And there's unique things about the temple. One, it's awesome. Two, the foundation stones are still there under the dome of the rock that the Muslims have. I learned a unique thing when studying this lesson this morning, that the stones were made ready before being brought to the construction site, meaning they were pre-formed, pre-cut, everything was done. So when they were on site, there was no sound of any iron tool being hit to chip and break the stones out. I had never heard that fact before. And as I said earlier, Solomon began to really grow the economy in the area. And the one thing he did is he created a navy, which enabled him to sail and move commerce throughout the world there. When we look at that, he set up tax districts that did not correspond with the 12 districts. Although it was accepted during Solomon's reign, this discrepancy contributed to the dissension that occurred between the North and the South after Solomon's death. It says to add to the problem, Solomon made many political marriages with foreign women to ensure Israel's peace and security with these foreign nations. However, these wives brought with them their pagan religions, and that paved the way for apostasy for Solomon and his people. And towards the end of his life, the first signs of rebellion began with the northern tribes. During this time, God speaks through the prophet Adonijah to a young man named Jeroboam. He tells Jeroboam he will rule over 10 tribes of Israel. When Solomon hears this, he seeks to kill Jeroboam. But Jeroboam flees Egypt and lives there until Solomon dies, ending a reign of 40 years. Now, when we get into the second half of this here, chapters 12 to 22, it says after Solomon dies, his other son Rehoboam goes to and is crowned the king of Israel. And when Jeroboam hears of Solomon's death, he returns to Israel and leads the people of the north to ask Rehoboam for relief from the heavy taxes and forced labor. And after consulting with advisors for 3 days, what Rehoboam tells Jeroboam is he tells him he will make their yoke heavier and chastise them worse than the father Solomon ever did. When Jeroboam and the northern tribes hear this, they declare independence and they begin to set up their own kingdom. And we can see that here in the map. We can see the northern kingdom of Israel here, where Samaria is the capital. And then we've got the southern kingdom here of Judah, where Jerusalem is the capital. And that's kind of a result of that division there that we just talked about. Judah consisted of the tribe of Judah, a part of the tribe of Benjamin, and eventually the tribe of Simeon. As the tribe of Judah grew in power, it absorbed the tribes of Benjamin and Simeon. Although all the territory conquered under the reign of David was lost, therefore almost all the territory conquered was lost. The nations of Philistia, Syria, Ammon, and Phoenicia gained their independence. This caused severe consequences for both Israel and Judah in this time because they lost revenue from this. You know, they had built up this great big economic powerhouse there, and as that division came, that began to be divided. Only Edom remained a tributary of Judah, and only Moab continued to pay tribute to Israel during this time. It says the once great kingdom of Israel became two rivaling smaller nations, possessing a little more than original land taken from Israel when they first entered the promised land there. Chapter 17 to 22, the ministry of Elijah is told. The name Elijah means Jehovah is my God, which perfectly fit him. This is the most outstanding prophet, and his name is spoken more in the New Testament than any other prophet. Elijah appeared with Moses on the Mount of Transfiguration that we read about in Matthew there. And when we look at the highlights of Elijah's ministry in 1 Kings there, one, he declared it wouldn't rain for 3.5 years, and it didn't until he said it would rain. And then he confronted the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel, where he prayed down fire from heaven to prove the superiority of Jehovah God. And the record of Elijah's ministry is going to continue when we get into 2 Kings next week. I hope everybody's enjoyed the lesson today. It was fun. I love it when I learn new things when we're studying there. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy your day today. Remember to take time and evaluate your mental health status. Make sure everything's okay with you. Then make sure everything's okay with your friends and family. Two things you can do that are great. One, if somebody's not asking right, have the courage to ask them if they're okay, if they need anything. And the second thing is just be available to listen. I love you all. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll say go Pack and go Heels. That way everybody's happy today. Looking forward to a great basketball game tonight. Thank you for tuning in. I love you all. We'll catch you next time. Have a good day.